Culture Uncut. This is Culture Uncut. This is Culture Uncut. I am your host, Jason Spears, and Colt fans, we've got a lot to talk about.
Shotgun snap for Richardson, backs the throw, looking left, fires into the end zone, it is a touchdown! Got him! Touchdown, Colts!
He's going for two, Matt.
And it's Alec Pierce!
And he's going for two.
What great poise and precision on the pass. Anthony Richardson to Pierce in the left side of the end zone. And it's now 24-23, 12 seconds left. Colts are going for the win. The ball is at the 3-yard line on a 2-point conversion attempt. Anthony Richardson out of the gun. Jonathan Taylor is his back left.
Go to Pittman.
Shotgun snap for Richardson, and he's trying to crash upfield.
He got it.
He is.
He's
across the goal line. The 2-point conversion is good. 2 points for the Colts. An 8-point possession. Give it to your best player on offense, and he delivers. Colts back on top. 25-24. 12 ticks to go.
That was Matt Taylor and Rick Venturi of the Colts Radio Network on the call as the Colts come back down 24-17 to win 25-24 to move their record to 5-7. Welcome to Culture Uncut. I'm your host, Jason Spears, and man, no matter how they do it, it always feels good to get a win. And that was a tough one. It's always tough to win in Foxborough. Certainly didn't play our best game. But it's always good to win, and it's always good to beat New England. And that was a hell of a comeback by our team as far as offensively and getting in the end zone on that last drive. And look, we're at the point of the season where these are all playoff games. We can't lose any of these games and have a chance to win. I'm looking around the AFC, and I'm just not seeing a lot of teams losing. So the Colts got to stick to it and keep playing, and, you know, they got to play better. Obviously, they won the game, and that's the most important thing, but they have got to get their run defense cleaned up. They have to get their tackling cleaned up. They have to get their coverages cleaned up. They have to play better. AR, especially earlier in the game, has got to settle his feet. His feet were all over the place. He was inaccurate early and in the middle of the game, and he's got to get better at that. But the one caveat to that is on the last 19-play drive, I think it was, for 80 yards, he was as poised and calm and cool as the other side of the pillow, as Stuart Scott would say, R.I.P. So he was kind of all over the place this game, but on the last drive, man, when you have to have it, and he locked in, man. He locked in, and he made the plays when they mattered, made the throws when they mattered, and he was, you know, outside of one or two, you know, overthrows or underthrows on the last drive. He was really, really good, and he didn't put the ball in harm's way either. So, again, a huge win for the Colts. Obviously, you like to play better, but it's never easy in this league, and it's certainly never easy against New England on the road. I knew they would play tough. They have a tough team. I watched them play Chicago, and they beat the brakes off the Bears, and I just knew this was going to be a close game. Our games generally always are. So, either way, it's a win, and we move on to the bye week, and hopefully we can get healthy before we head into Denver for essentially a playoff game. I mean, that game, that's our season. We're going to have to play our best game that we've played on the road. It may be our best game all year to win that game because Denver is very good defensively, and their young quarterback's playing pretty well as well. So, big win today. Just to kind of go back over what my keys to the game were and to kind of go through that before I go specifically into this game and break it down. My 3 keys for the Colts offense was run and stay with it, so stay patient. And they really did that. They ran the ball 34 times for 144 yards, a touchdown, plus a 2-point conversion, and they only threw it 24 times. So maybe you want a closer ratio to 50-50, but I thought they did a really good job of kind of staying patient with the run game when it wasn't, you know, there weren't a lot of big plays to be had, but they hung in there and they did a good job. The second key was, you know, the play action off of the run and the RPO stuff off the run. Definitely got some big plays off of that. The last was a RPO where he kept it. The last play was a play where he kept it. and ran it in. And, there were some other plays on the drive. I think there was a pass to Ogletree where it was a RPO. So got some good usage out of that offensively and limit self-inflicted wounds. Outside of, I think, a pass interference that Pittman got, they didn't really get any penalties. The offensive line, for the most part, actually really did a great job, which I'll get into later. Only drawback here is we had 2 turnovers, and you never want that to happen. But when you can overcome losing the plus minus battle on the turnovers, that's always good. I mean, it's tough to do, but the Colts managed to do it. The 3 keys for the Colts defense was to keep May in the pocket and don't let him out. They didn't do a great job of that. He had 5 carries for 59 yards, broke, I think, a 40-yard run on him. So they weren't great there. This one they didn't do at all, which was stop the run and make May beat you from the pocket. They allowed 31 carries for 200 yards. That's 6.5 yards per carry. I mean, that's unacceptable. So no matter what the other keys were, that one in itself was going to keep New England in the game. And then the third thing was when plays are there to be made, make them. Turnover plays. Well, we had 1 turnover in the game that Zaire made a really good play on, and then Julian intercepted it and returned it 17 yards, I think. But outside of that, man, I mean, they put the ball on the ground twice. New England didn't. We weren't there to recover it. I thought defensively we didn't run to the ball, gang tackle. Our tackling was atrocious in this football game. From everybody, I thought it was I think it might have been our worst tackling game of the year. It was really, and we've had some bad ones. It was really, really bad. All three levels were not good tackling today. So, and the run fits were very, very poor by the linebackers and everybody else. So the defense definitely was bad. I mean, this is a team that came in, I think, 31st in points per game, averaging 16. We gave up 24. And it could have easily been 27 if Sly doesn't miss that chip shot field goal. But hey, whatever it takes, you just got to take it. You know what I mean, and keep it moving. But yeah, I mean, we got some breaks. We got two missed field goals, one was 68 yards, but the other one was a chip shot that he missed. If he makes that, it's probably a different game. But he didn't, and that's the difference in the game because the Colts come back. Won it 25-24. Now let's look at our offense. AR 12 of 24, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Not great by any stretch. Really struggled for most of the day. I thought that his mechanics were bad for most of the day, and there were some really poor passes in there. And I'm never going to sit here and just be an AR cheerleader. When he doesn't play well, I'm going to tell you. I thought, for 3/4 of this game, he kind of took a step back. But as young players do, especially special young players, when it mattered most, he stepped up. He did a great job running the ball. I saw him slide a couple times, 9 carries, 48 yards, 1 touchdown running, and the 2-point conversion that clinched the game for the Colts. Really, really good job by him, finding space in that defense and taking advantage of it and getting first downs when they were needed. Pittman, quiet as kept, had a solid game, 5 for 42. JT had 25 carries for 96 yards, 1 catch, 7 yards, and a touchdown. The offensive line, man, did a great job. There was very little pressure on AR today, and they did you have to remember, so our left tackle hadn't played in a few weeks, so he was probably rusty. Quentin played great. Penter is our third string center, and I thought he played solid. And then Glowinski played really, really well. Coming off the bench, hasn't played all year. And starts this game, does a great job. And then the young kid from Pittsburgh, Concavas, played very, very well. And the offensive line, can't say enough about them. They bounced back this week. They did what they were supposed to do, did a really outstanding job blocking, taking care of the quarterback, and opening a few holes for the running game, and didn't get any penalties. So that's what you really want to see coming out of your offensive line, and I thought they were great. Going into the last drive, I just want to talk about this last drive. So we're down 24-17. I think there was 5:34 left when we got the ball. Last drive was 19 plays, 80 yards. So it starts with a 9-yard completion to Pittman. Taylor, a run for 4 yards. A big completion to Mallory for 7 yards. The first of 3 completions on 4th down was AR to Mo for 11 yards. That was on 4th and 3. Then AR back to Pittman for 8 yards. Then an AR run for 6 yards on 4th and 2. Then we got a pass interference call on Pittman down to the Patriots 20. AR to Pitt for 8 yards. So he really went to Pitt heavy on this last drive. Taylor run for 1 yard. Taylor run for 3 yards. AR run for 6 yards. AR to Pierce for 3 yards. Touchdown. That was on 4th and 3, and that was our season. That play was our season. We got the touchdown. Shane dials up a really solid play for the 2-point conversion. Said, screw it, let's win it right now. AR makes the right read and powers into the end zone for the 2-point conversion, and the Colts take the lead 25-24 with 12 seconds remaining. Excuse me. And included on that drive were 2 absolutely huge drops. One was by Granson and one was by A.D. Mitchell. And, it's very frustrating when guys let their, when they can't make plays, when their quarterback puts it right on them and they can't make the plays. But the thing I love about AR is he doesn't let it bother him. He just went back and kept doing what he was doing, took the team right down the field, got on to the next play, so poised. Like, that's the biggest thing that I see with this kid when the game's on the line. He's just got something. It's poise. He doesn't, his feet were all over the place and all that on for most of the day, and his mechanics were bad. On the last drive, he was locked in. He was absolutely locked in. I think every throw except maybe 1 or 2 were perfect throws. So he was outstanding on the last drive. Granson has to catch that ball. A.D. Mitchell, man, he either runs the wrong route or drops the ball. It's so frustrating because he can get open, but he just isn't making any plays. He made no plays today. I would have thought out of all the games A.D. Mitchell's played, this would be the game where he has a breakout game because there's no dueling and there's no downs, and he did absolutely nothing in this football game. So that was a disappointing part for me. Our tight ends, Granson is just, I don't know what to say. Our tight end room is it's not good enough. But I will say this, Mallory, Ogletree, Mo all had big catches in this game. Ogletree had the longest play of the game, I think was for 22 yards. Mo had a big 4th down conversion. Mallory had a great catch for 7 yards. So he mixed it up too on the last drive, going from run with Taylor to Mallory to Pitt for I think 3 or 4 catches, plus a pass interference. Pierce and then Mo for the 1st down. So yeah, man, they had 3 4th downs, and they were all 4th and short, got all 3 of them. And that was the difference, man. When plays were there to be made at the end of the game, they made them. They hadn't really been making them earlier in the game to the level that they made them on the final drive, which shows that when they're focused and locked in, they can make it happen. So that's a positive moving forward. Overall, it was a so-so day for AR. Again, he had some drops and some stuff that he has no control over, but still had 2 picks, and he's got to be better. Let's just say that. And he will get better. But that was, I think the end was a step in the right direction, but for the most part, I think he kind of struggled today. But at the end of the day, it matters what happens at the end of the game, and he took over. He took over, and he was Clark Kent for 3 quarters and Superman for the 4th, or at least, for 3.5 quarters, and then Superman for the last 5 minutes and 19 seconds. So he's got to, get more consistent, but I think he did a good job down the stretch of playing under control, not trying to force things, not getting happy feet in the pocket, and just calming down and locking in. That's the best way I can put it. So the offense, ends up with 25 points, which is a solid outing. And, the Patriots played pretty good on defense, a lot better than I expected. But they have some good players over there. Their secondary got a lot of guys back, so it was a little bit tougher game than what it would have been had they been playing with the unit that they had been playing with, which Gonzalez had been hurt, Peppers hadn't played, Duggar had been hurt, Keon White had been hurt. So they've been missing a lot of guys. The linebacker, Simmons, I think, has been hurt. So they've had a lot of injuries, so they got a lot of those guys back, and it showed. And then, getting onto the Colts defense, which is I'll give credit to Zaire. I didn't think he was great in the run game. I thought the linebackers are very poor in coverage for the most part today. I'll get into the tight end numbers in a second, but he had 12 tackles. Zaire had 12 tackles, 1.5 sacks, 1 tackle for loss, 1 pass defended, which led to an interception, and then a quarterback hit. So he played solid, but the fundamentals of gaps and all that stuff in the run game and tackling and being able to cover the tight end, it was non-existent from our linebackers. We were terrible in cover. I don't know what Gus's plan was in this game. We were playing 12 yards off the receivers. They have the worst receiving core in the NFL. And we were playing off and not getting any pressure because it was all quick rhythm throws. And I kept waiting for him to press the corners up, roll them up, because at least then you give an extra millisecond or extra second to get to the quarterback, and they just really never did it. There was always a cushion, and when you're playing a quarterback like that, you're basically giving him easy reads and easy throws, and I did not understand that. He's been good for the last month, and in this game, it's like he took the week off and didn't do any preparation, because Drake May's going to be a really good quarterback. You can see it. He's athletic. He's poised. He doesn't get shook by anything. But when you're giving him layup after layup, it's going to be a long day. And then when you don't stop the run, we didn't stop anything really. So very disappointed in the defense. Drake May, 24-30, very efficient, 238 yards, 1 INT, 5 carries, 59 yards. The 1 interception was Julian Blackmon, the play that Zaire made on the ball. It was a great play by Julian to pick it up and go. But other than that, man, the defense was certified trash. They did not force a punt until late in the game, so I will give them that. Off the AR pick that we threw late, I think they forced a punt. And I think they only punted 1 time in the entire game, which is, this is one of the worst offenses in the league. They have no receivers. They do have some tight ends, and I'll get into them in a second, but 31 carries for their running backs, 200 yards. Well, running back and quarterback. That's 6.5 yards a carry. You're not going to win doing stuff like that. It's just not against a good team. This team's 3-10 now. That's not a good team. They play hard, but they're not a good team. And the Colts, for what it looked like to me, they were getting out hustled and outplayed and out toughed, especially on defense, because New England was running hard, and we could not get them on the ground. We could not tackle. And tackling is about technique and effort. You have to want to do it. And it didn't look like the Colts wanted to tackle. And that's unacceptable. You're an NFL player. You need to be, that's your job. And so I was very frustrated with what seemed like, because if you would have told me, like, watching that game, who's the team that's, fighting for a playoff spot or fighting to stay in the playoff race, and the team that's really not, I would have thought the reverse, because New England was just running the ball, throwing the ball, playing extremely hard, tackling, hitting, and we weren't really doing any of that. We were kind of sleepwalking through the game, especially on defense. Just piss poor tackling all day long, and it really never got better. So they play like that in Denver, they're going to lose by 20. It will not be pretty up there, and it's going to be cold again. So they better get used to it. They better practice outside. Whatever they got to do, they need to. They got to play a lot better than they played today, and they got to tackle a hell of a lot better against Denver. So terrible job in the run game all day long. Just could not get stops. Combined, that their tight ends, who are linebackers, attempted to cover, were 11. They had 11 catches for 117 yards and 1 touchdown between Henry and Hooper. They had runs of 32 and 41 and 1 pass of 29. 3 chunk plays to this low-powered offense, and the Colts' longest play was 22 yards. They gave up 422 yards and 24 points, which really could have easily been 27 to the 31st ranked offense in the league. Something's got to change on this defense, really. The linebackers, I don't know if you could trade Zaire, let Speed walk, and just completely revamp the linebackers, because they're not good enough. They're not. Like, I know everybody loves Zaire and all that, and look, I like them too, but I just don't see them getting to where they need to be defensively with this lack of coverage ability, and also constantly hitting the wrong gaps, getting pushed out of plays and washed away constantly. It's just it happens too much. You can do all the film study you want, but if you can't change those things from happening, like, it's not going to be good enough. So I don't know. To me, the linebackers are the weak spot of this team. They have absolutely no defensive tackle depth. There's a lot of issues with this defense. I've been on the fire Gus Bradley train. Really, I gave him a chance, but I haven't wanted him. I didn't want him back this year for sure. I don't know, man. I think this has to be the end of him. This can't happen. This kind of stuff can't happen, where it looks like they haven't practiced all week and then they can't tackle at all. Again, I've said this 1,000 times on this show, and I know people tell me Gus can't go out there and play. Well, Gus had the game plan that basically allowed Drake May to pick them apart. That was his game plan, not the players. The players played what they were supposed to play, which is 10 to 12 yards off the receiver. That's Gus, okay? Also, if you're not teaching it, and I've said this a million times, you're allowing it. Every week we go through this tackling nonsense. You know, like, this team, there's no consistent tacklers on this team. And that's frustrating, because it's a fundamental part of the game. If you can't tackle and you allow more broken tackles than anybody, you're not going to win. And I just think the defense needs a culture change completely. I like the D-line. I love Nick Cross. I think he's become a really good player. I'd like to see what Carlisle can do, but again, he's young. But I mean, I wouldn't be against trading Zaire and just getting a new kind of scheme in here. But that's, I guess, a topic for Q&A. But the more I watch, and yes, he made one really great play, but outside of that, the defense got mauled. There was no, they were getting to the second level, and he was getting washed away. Him, DJ, all those guys, Grant Stewart. And our corners weren't tackling. Like, you have to want to tackle. It's got to get better, man. It has to get better. I think I'm done with Gus. He had a really good month, but I just can't watch the lack of fundamentals and execution anymore. It's not good enough defense to get you anywhere, really. Like 8-9 wins maybe. But you're not winning in the playoffs with this style of defense. Not with the talent, not with what the roster we have. And we have a good D line, but again, when you play your corners that far off, and you can't cover any semblance of a decent tight end, any good quarterback or even a young quarterback is going to pick it apart, and that's exactly what he did. 24 for 30. That's crazy efficient. That's 80%? I'm not doing the math in my head. I think that is 80%. So, like, I don't know, man. This team, to me, again, it's a great win over a bad team. I just still don't know what their identity is. Like, on offense, I'm starting to see it. It's the run game. It's AR, taking shots, whatever. What is our identity on defense? Like, what do you point to? Like, turnovers, I guess? Pray for turnovers, I guess, is what we do. Because, I don't know, man. I just don't know how that offense is able to run for 200 yards against our defensive line, and it just shouldn't happen. Really shouldn't happen. It's inexcusable to me. And it's going to plague us down the stretch if we do not figure this out. Like if these guys don't, like they have, like, here's the thing about accountability and standard. Standard is what you set for yourself, not like with the Colts, they either play up or play down to their opponent. That's not how this works or should work. The standard should be here. You play to this level every game and make every team match your standard and how you play. That's your standard. Not, the standard this week is beating New England and the standard next week, because then every game is going to be close because you're just doing just enough to stay in the game. That's not enough. So I still think we end up probably 9-8. I don't think this team beats Denver. I really don't. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. I don't think this is a great team or a playoff team. Just my opinion. Just the defense is just unspeakably awful at times, and I don't understand it. Because they can go out there and play well against a team like Buffalo for the first, until they get worn down, because Flacco can't get a first down, and in Detroit they hung in there too. But then you come out against New England and play like that? Like, what was that? Did they just expect New England to just quit? That's not how NFL teams play. So I was very frustrated with the defense today. I thought the offense struggled but did what they needed to do. The defense really, they forced the one turnover and they forced a punt. That's what we're hanging our hat on. A fumble at the goal line and one punt. Literally, like, if you could have just played, decent defense all game, we win the game easily. But, we couldn't stop the run. We couldn't stop the pass. We couldn't put any pressure on the quarterback. It was a terrible... This is probably the worst defensive performance of the year. And it's December. Because we never slowed them down until the end of the game. And remember, they are ranked 31st in points. They score 16 a game. So I'm not sure how many times they've scored 24 points this season, but it sure as hell hasn't been many. And they got it today. And they could have had more if if Sly makes that kick, the short one, not the long one. So I know I'm throwing some cold water on the win. And I'm just trying to keep people, realistic, because you can't play like this. And granted, our last, 4 games, or 3 games after after Denver are, Tennessee, Jacksonville, and the Giants. It doesn't matter. You can't play like this, especially in those divisional games. Like those are not going to be easy wins. I'll just tell you that now. Giants, who knows? The Colts play down to everybody. They play up, play down. That's what I hate about this team. It's not one standard like it was when Manning was here. We play to our standard. There'd be games where they'd win 30-3 and be pissed off because they didn't meet their standard. Where the Colts don't play like that anymore. Their standard is just score more points than the other team, and then they oftentimes don't meet that because their standard lends itself to close games, and you don't win every close game. The Colts are now 6-5 in close games, but that's also 5 games you didn't win. So I don't like the culture. I really don't like any of it. I know we're going to be stuck with Ballard and all that, and probably going to be stuck with Gus again. It's just going to be a repeat next year of this again. And that's what makes me confused, because it's like part of me wants the defense to just get railed the last 4 games, so we'll get rid of Gus. But I want the Colts to win. So it's just like we're stuck in a box of mediocrity I just can't get out of. But at the end of the day, I think we have our quarterback. I'm still, he's still not consistent the way you want him to be consistent. Like we need to get more out of him, taking layups, throwing it to the running back, and a little bit more of the tight end, and intermediate stuff. But I do think he's coming along. It's definitely going to take some time, but I do like what I see from him. And if we get that right, then everything else will take care of itself. Hopefully. Again, Chris Ballard, is seemingly going to be on a lifetime contract here until, I don't know, I'm dead. So I'm just assuming Chris Ballard will be here for the next 2 years minimum. So that's a decade. And as long as he's here, Steichen will be here, and it is what it is. But yeah, I just I don't like the culture on defense. It's not good enough. There's not enough accountability. There's not enough anything. Because they keep going out there and doing this. You should not be playing like this in December with the playoffs on the line, and you can't get them off the field for one punt until there's 6 minutes left in the game, and they're the worst or second worst offense in the league? I mean, what are we doing? So that'll wrap this up, man. Look, I know this sounds super negative, but I'm trying to be realistic with what's coming. Because Denver's very, very good, and they're really good on defense. It's going to be a tough matchup for AR and our running game because I think they stop everything. I think they're really good against the pass and really good against the run, so it's going to be a very, very tough game. And if our defense does not show up, and Bo Nix is a similar guy to Drake May. Actually, I think Drake May's probably will be the much better player, but he's very similar. He runs a little, and he seems to be getting comfortable and efficient. And they can't come out with this game plan again against Denver because Denver actually has receivers. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking about that game. This game did not give me a lot of hope for that game, but that's why they play the games. How many times can you say games in a sentence? Well, I'm trying for the record, apparently. But anyway, so we got to bye. Hopefully we can get some guys healthy. And get ready for this run because this is going to be the first game, especially is going to be tough, and we can't lose any more games. If we lose any games, we're done. 9-8 unless Houston loses every game left. 9-8's not going to do it to get in the wild card. They're just too far ahead. I mean, Baltimore I think is 8-5. The Chargers are I think 8-5, 8-4. Denver's 7-5, and they play the Browns at home, so they'll probably be 8-5. So we can't lose any more games. So that's where we're at, and I'm just trying to keep people grounded and understand that we're still up against it. Like this, it's not like we're tied with somebody. We've got games to make up, and we need teams to lose, and we have to win every game going forward. And that performance that we saw today will not be good enough at all, especially from the defense. Unacceptable. But it is what it is. I'm sure we'll hear about it on the podcast that our linebacker has, and at the end of the day, it's just not good enough. This defense is just not good enough. And you need a good defense when you have a young quarterback, and we just don't have it. It's too inconsistent, not enough playmakers, zero depth, and they're just not fundamentally sound, and they're just not fundamentally sound. That's coaching. Yeah, he's not out there playing, but he's coaching these guys, and they're clearly not learning. Piss poor tackling, taking bad angles, hitting the wrong gap, all that stuff is coaching. If you're not coaching it, you're allowing it. I'm going to say it till I'm dead. So hopefully y'all can enjoy a week off from this team. It's been close game after close game after close game after close game. Joe Flacco, then some more close games. But I'm happy we won. I would have hated to do this after a loss because the season would have been over. So we found a way to win. And when you have, 4 games left and you're only a game and a half back, you got a chance. And we're playing a team that's ahead of us in this thing, and so we have a chance. That's all you can ask for. After we pissed those 2 games away with Flacco, all you can ask for is a chance. We have a chance. So all you can do is go play the games. If you're good enough, you'll win. If you're not, you'll lose. That's the way it goes. So I'll be back. I guess I'll do a Q&A at some point. I don't know if I'll do it this week or next. Probably this week. I got to do something because there's not a lot to talk about. But hopefully, again, we'll get some players back, and, really, really happy. I thought AR, my player of the game's AR, but I really thought the offensive line did a hell of a job today considering the injuries, and was the difference in the game. I really thought they were the difference in the game in the sense that they kept him clean and allowed him a clean pocket to make plays and open up holes for us to run for, I think, 100 and some yards. I don't have it on me right now, but I think we ran for 130 or something like that. Maybe a little more, but either way, no sacks, no dumb penalties. It really did a good job today. So shout out to the offensive line. Shout out to AR for coming through on that last drive. Probably saved our season, and we live to fight for another week. Everybody becomes Brown fans for the game on Monday night, and we hope that Jameis can pull some magic in the Mile High City, because that's what we're going to need. We need some help right now, and then if they can somehow do that, then we'll be going in the next game with a wild card spot on the line, and that would be a beautiful thing. So thank you guys for listening. I'm sorry if I was a little negative, but this game really pissed me off because I really thought we could play a lot better than we did, and if I didn't have high expectations for a certain level of expectation for this team, I wouldn't care. But to see them go out and play, like, defensively play like that, I just thought was unacceptable, and I'm never going to be happy about it. When you play a bad team, you should put your foot on their neck and beat them up and win, and it shouldn't be close, and we didn't do that today, but we did win, and that's really the bottom line. But I'm not happy about the way the defense played. It was a very disappointing performance. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you, guys. I will talk to you sometime this week here on Culture Uncut.